Yeah, so it's hitchhiking and how it's not for the faint of hearts. Because there are going to be tough days. I mean, extremely tough days. There are going to be times where uh, sleeping arrangements and wearing the same shit day in and day out. Uh, this is from a male's perspective. Um, Certain things may happen, certain things may not happen for you. It's gonna be one of those things. I don't know if it fucking. Okay, there we go. Um, you just gotta you just gotta tune out the come on. Like interruptions, my ass. So yeah, like I was saying, you're gonna be wearing the same shit day in and day out. How does one actually get into hitchhiking? Well, one can actually be of age, 18 years old, out of high school, and fully on your own. Is it illegal? No. But the officers will try to beg to differ. It's not illegal for someone to pick you up. Some would say it's illegal for you to post your thumb out there. It's one of those hit and miss type bull crap that you have to pay attention to at times. I mean, there's a whole bunch of topics that I can get into. I'm just gonna focus on the main topics like food, lodging, apparel, hygiene. It's pretty much the standard, the standard going operation procedures out here. Um, like I said about pearl, if you have the money to buy new ones, that's great. If you don't have the new ones, you're kind of forced to wear the same all day and all day, every day. I see it in my comments down below. But yeah, um, hygiene. Hygiene is one of those ordeals that one could pull away and do perfectly. And there are times that you're such in a rush that you just forget about your hygiene, like brushing your teeth, taking a shower is one of those that is out there because your BO is raking at max capacity. Lucky for us travelers, thank God for truckers, there's what you call a truck stop shower. If you're anything like me, just don't get donations if you're a YouTuber, or you're just not lacking the funds to take a shower. There are several nice truck drivers out there that will pay for a shower for you. Those are one of the easy, readily available things to keep your hygiene up. If you don't have a shower readily available, then you might have a lake, depending what seasonal conditions there is for you. Like winter, showering in the winter on the East Coast is kind of out of the window because everything is either down to 6 degrees, which you don't want to freeze your balls off, and that really hurts a person's Well, it doesn't hurt. I'll take that back. It's more like I just leave it alone because it doesn't really hurt you. It just freaking makes you cold as shit. That's all it does. Um, Out there in the West Coast, like Arizona, California, you do get your warm days, and when you get your warm days, those are the best times to hit a lake or buy a 2 gallons worth of water and do a bird bath that way. Um, Now let's move on to lodging. And this is where most of us just ain't got the funds for a hotel. I just called a hotel right here down the road. It was $105 with tax, which $105 can actually go a long way if you budget it just right. If you just budget just right. Let's read the comments here real fast. We'll take a little bit of a break. Because some of you guys, what the fuck is this motherfucker talking about? What the fuck? Okay. Definitely not going to have that. Gay is cool. I don't know what the fuck it... Okay, guys. So, you guys are just being dumb. You guys are being dumb. Just solely being dumb, dude. I just don't understand it. So, yes, like, some of us just ain't got the, funds to get in a hotel almost every day. Some of us are probably lucky enough to get in hotels every day. Like today, it's gonna rain like shit. Here in a few hours. I don't have the adequate means to stay dry right now because there is no heavily wooded areas for me to stay dry for a long, lengthy time. Like I just mentioned about bridges. Bridges are phenomenal when it comes to staying out of the elements, far as rain. Sometimes you can dodge the wind, but depending on the bridge that you select, you might have a good one, you might have a bad one. There are bridges that actually don't have adequate protection from the elements like rain. You got those little drainage things that comes from the bridge. Sometimes you just gotta pucker it out, I guess. Something like that. So, moving on from another subject. During the hottest peak of the hour in the summer, especially the East Coast or the West Coast, depending on what terrain and environment you're in, bridges can actually cook you or shield you by 15 or less degrees, which is pretty awesome. And like I said, you gotta be damn lucky to have a bridge that's a wind tunnel to keep the heat off you. Majority of the bridges that I have been were fairly phenomenal in wind aspects to keep you cool. I've been under a bridge that was just basically cooking the out of you. So typically, bridges are good for bad weather, So those are one of the options. It's a free option. Now, when you have a good, phenomenal weather, breaking the weather for months or weeks, depending on what region you're in, cowboy camping is optional and it's free. Cowboy camping is basically sleeping underneath the stars without a tent or with a tent, but you just don't use the tent. Now, there are setbacks to that because you are unprotected in the elements and in nature. The biggest thing that you have to worry while you're cowboy camping, if you don't select concealment in a way, you are unprotected and seen fairly easy. By being unprotected, you are subjected to rattlesnakes, critters, and would-be people. Now, if you're tent camping and you decide to have a tent, you are practically shielded from the elements. Now, depending on what terrain you're in, for instance, the East Coast during the winter, you're pretty much freezing your ass off. But sometimes tents can add 5 to 10 degrees temperature difference at times, especially if you have 2 people in your tent. Body heat is a must out here. Sleeping gear is a must, depending on what terrain you are in. There's a various factors in that. So basically what I'm doing is just covering over your basis of sleeping, food, and shit like that. And obviously, if you have a tent, you're protected from mosquitoes and a little bit of nature, which is good. Some people will select carrying a tent for security, comfort, luxury. I carry it at times just so if it does rain, for a brief time, a period, I have some chance of staying dry. But it's supposed to rain for the next 3 days. And I'm not willing to be wet for the next 3 days. And depending on the terrain, also, you can get easily flooded out, especially if your only option is to camp next to a water source of any sort. Like for me, I'm technically almost in the city limits, and I have to evaluate and scout. And how to scout is for camping selection is through Google Maps. But you do have to keep in consideration that Google Maps is roughly 2 years behind. So if you do see a spot that looks adequate enough for you, then you might have to do some ground search and see what is applicable for you. Now you got to keep in mind what you see on the map is not a viable source, because within that 2-year rough estimation, there could be developments, something there that is unexpected. Sometimes you gotta cut your losses, sometimes you gotta take it for the team, whatever. But yeah, that's pretty much lodging and hygiene covered. Your apparel. That's what's pretty much covered in that. Now, hitchhiking itself is a daunting task. It's daunting because you don't know what stranger you will be getting in their car with. And sometimes you will feel like you are a psychiatrist, a shrink of some sort. So I'm going to take a little break and we'll get to the chat and chat away with you guys. So yes, we're back from the little mild break. But so let's get into the nitty gritty of hitchhiking. Hitchhiking is predominantly common, known through transients. They pretty much hitchhike, ride the rails, which that's a story for another time. Hitchhiking goes well into the 1800s, and most people use it for modes of getting around, like to the nearest store, the next state over, etc. And there are misconceptions within hitchhiking that is predominantly well known throughout the internet and through general life itself. Let's go through the general misconceptions. The misconceptions that most Americans and foreign countries would also have an agreement is, aren't you supposed to be on the interstate? Now, that's commonly known in the U.S. to hitchhike in or around interstates. Hitchhiking, you can actually be in you can be in any particular state, country, city, and still get a ride. And the ride is determined by individuals. And yes, you will get a lot of no's, a lot of letdowns. You will get people that would say they'll come back and get you. You'll have family members that would say they're going to come and get you. You would have friends that would say they'll come and get you, but they never do. They like to do what they call fucking with you. And that is very common. That happens on very rare, seldomly. And out here, you kind of build a bondage, a trust bond with individuals, especially when you're traveling X amount of hours in a particular vehicle. There will be conversations that will be concerning, uncomfortable, Um, the uncomfortables are usually perverted in a way, and I do have females that usually picks me up, and those are very rare occasions. These females will actually ask if you wanna DTF. Are you DTF? And most of you guys probably don't know what DTF is, down to fuck. Me, I'm out here for the adventure. I'm not out here to get my wanker sucked or create a baby or do the natural thing of having intercourse with a woman. And occasionally you'll get the uncomfortable statement, are you gay? No, hell no. But yes, there are a lot of equations that deter people from actually hitchhiking. Hitchhiking is really not for the faint of heart. You really have to have a thick skin. There are instances where you will be insulted verbally and discreetly, and there are instances where you will get emotionally upset, either in anger and or emotionally upset within, like, you're gonna cry, basically. Yes. There's a whole bunch of topics that can be misconstrued or whatever. Now, if you're really interested in finding more about how to hitchhike and what to expect, all you have to really do is search hitchhiking, and they'll basically tell you what I'm telling you, but more in depth. I'm just scratching the layers with you guys. Now, I'm gonna read the chats. I know you guys have been totally probably upset that I am ignoring you at this current. If you want to ask questions, you're more than welcome to. I'm gonna read your comments. The guys got, do they offer favors? Most of the times, the favors actually comes from guys, and it's kind of perverted. Our hobo leader is not trying to get a job. Jobs might be easier. Why are you watching if you feel that way? So... So if you have any comments and questions about hitchhiking, you're more than welcome to comment away. You can actually use, if you think it's very important, you can actually use the text-to-speech option, and you could actually pay $1 if you choose, or the ask an amount to have it read out loud, and I will answer them. I'm going to try to answer your questions as best as possible to my acknowledgement of that criteria of questions. What was the longest ride you got? One time I've gotten a ride from actually West Virginia all the way to Kansas. And from Kansas to LA. Typically, the rides can be up to 4 days if you catch a ride with a semi or a willing citizen of America or whatever country that you're trying to hitchhike. How many hours is that? Well, typically a semi driver can drive up to 11 hours. Typically. But as the government is putting restraints on the driving hours, it's making it difficult for the semi driver to actually make distance. Now, there are semi drivers that can actually make 1,000 in a day, meaning 1,000 miles in a day, which is pretty fucking phenomenal. Like I said in the beginning of this video, in order for you to appropriately hitchhike, you have to be 18 and above. And if you're 18, you must be out of your parents or out of school, which is pretty awesome. Now, if it's your very first time hitchhiking, I suggest finding somebody that has done it before and willing to do it and teach you the ropes. What happened to the trucker guy you were with for a while? He ended up dying of a heart attack. He has. What's up there, Lost? Hey, Lost Turntables, if you got any questions about hitchhiking, you're more than welcome to. You're very more than welcome to answer any questions. Holy hell. Somebody's getting pulled over. So, I'm gonna try to take refuge close by under an awning of some sort. It's gonna be a wet one, pretty much. And I typically don't like to break camp in rain at all. Because your camping equipment, such as a tent, can develop mildew and stink. Yeah. Justin, no, I'm not in Pennsylvania. I'm located somewhere in West Virginia. It is pretty much a hot night right now. For right now. Nope. That is one of the questions in hitchhiking, is how most citizens of that country that you're choosing to hitchhike in, you will be asked a question within that realm. How do you get finances? And I tell my particular person that picked me up, I would say through the generous people of the road that I meet, and very seldomly I get donations from my YouTube channel viewers. Yep. Most of the times you want to be truthful, but you don't want to divulge on how much you have on you, due to the fact that someone could potentially rob you. I got $3 in my bank account right now. If I had enough money, I would be happy to pay for Uber. And yes, there are hitchhikers that will actually pay for a ride for X amount of miles. There are misconceptions that hobos, regular hitchhikers, don't use taxis or hotels. Those are generally the misconceptions of hitchhiking. If you have the funds, use it to the best mobility you can provide yourself with. And a lot of people will actually take city buses to get through the major towns like, say, Indianapolis, Houston, St. Louis, and etc. Because it's quicker and it's predominantly difficult to actually hitchhike within a major city. You gotta also keep in mind that there's gonna be a lot of people that will tell you no. And that's why it's predominantly best to save your money to actually get some type of transportation. Mike of many Mikes, you're fucking hilarious. You're fucking hilarious. But yes, yeah, that's pretty much the realm of things. Is sometimes you get a lucky ride, sometimes you don't. But anyway, it was a pleasure coming live, talking to you guys. You have fun. Hopefully I gave you some insights of how it is to hitchhike with hygiene deficiencies and money deficiencies and stuff like that. But anyway, you guys have fun, be safe, and remember, God loves you.